Welcome back. Episode 136 of Anime on Draft on a Monday. Back on Mondays. How you guys doing?
Anime on
Good.
Mondays. Doing the
Yeah.
Mondays.
Man, we got some fancy water here that we'll talk about in a little bit. Got some beers, got some shows. Got a little bit of everything today. So why don't we jump right into it? I'm your host, Drew, this week. Got the whole gang back together. We got Alec, Rolando, and Mark. Everybody's here. We're ready to go. Yeah. So, without further ado, let's introduce what everybody's drinking this week because we kind of have a smorgasbord of different things. Alec, you got a fancy Topo Chico that you were flexing on people earlier. Can I tell everybody about that?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Twist of lime.
Topo Chico.
Pogger.
Porter.
The Bell's Porter.
Bell's Pogger.
The Robustico.
The Bell's Robust Pogger. Since I just
Very cool.
opened mine.
Yeah.
I have the Larkin's Pale Ale. Larkin being that Irish brewery that we already had a few beers from. Or I had, sorry. That I had a few beers from
Holdover.
earlier.
I was like, we did. When?
Oh, no, we did it when in Big Bear. I brought one.
Oh,
Like
that's
Coco
right.
Joe. No, the Coco Joe Porter was not.
That was a different one.
Yeah.
Got some holdovers from good old EU, so it's pretty neat.
How many you got left? Is that your last one?
This is the last one.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Sad day.
The new holdover are these
Oh,
strong
right.
zeros that
Yeah.
we should have on the show if Alec will agree to drink it.
Yes.
You got to experience it because it's such a meat, but it's so good.
It's the best.
All of these? Well, I mean, like, yeah. It's,
But doom.
I don't like that. Well, I have whiskey.
He's got the fanciest of waters.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't feel like drinking a beer.
you didn't feel
thank
like
you.
drinking beer, so you felt like drinking just straight
Yeah, but it's like a
distilled
figure,
beer, essentially.
it's like a figure of it. It's not like anything crazy. Like everything else I had was like 8+%. And I'm like, I don't feel like doing that on a Monday.
You were just off the chain today.
Anyway.
You mean last week?
Mark, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Allagash River Trip. It's a Belgian style session ale. That is the can right there. Yeah, it's pretty clean, man. It's
Not used to seeing anything from Allagash that's not in a bottle.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's kind of why I picked it up. I was like, oh, it's different.
Cool.
For some reason, the can feels nice. It almost feels like those like the matte type of print.
Yeah, yeah.
It's on there. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So far, it's good. It's got a great smell. I have to say that. Prefaces with that.
A Belgian
It's
session.
Belgian
Yeah.
session. It's a session.
Session.
Session ale. It's a session. It's a
How
session.
much head is on your beer right there?
Well, it's this. Do you remember the last time I opened up one of these Irish beers and the foam just started coming out? Like it had been sitting there for a while, not touched, and the same thing happened with this. So the first shit I poured out was just this.
Nice.
I suppose I take more head over like flat beer because
Yeah.
flat beer is like super sad. So
That's true.
I think it smells really good though. It's very fruity.
It looks
what
like
type
a
of beer
nice-
again? Remind me.
Pale ale.
Pale
and
ale.
It just doesn't say anything about.
Yeah.
No, never mind. It does. Beer crystal art. That's what it says.
Nice.
Light and refreshing with big aroma. It is pretty big aroma.
Big boy.
about that big aroma.
Oh, it's got lemon drop and cascade hops
Hops.
with Vienna malt.
Cool. Yeah. So we've cracked those open. Everybody enjoy. Oh,
Oh, what's up?
I've
Being
been
told
muted
to
this whole
hang
time
on.
on stream.
Oh,
Oh,
oh no.
It's okay.
Rookie mistake.
All right.
All right, I'm back.
Wait,
well,
so,
just
so
believe.
yeah, just
Believe us when we say that Alec was out of control
Yeah.
and he got muted.
he was out of control that he muted himself so that
I had to. I had to. Man, people are
Nice.
gonna listen. You're gonna say the whole gang's all back together, and I'll just be silent for the first 6 minutes.
They
They're
just
like,
see,
wait.
they see him. He's like, his mouth is moving. And he's like doing all this stuff.
Oh man. All right.
Well, if you
anyways,
missed it, he's got the Bell's Porter.
I do.
Bell's Porter.
And a Topo Chico.
And a Topo Chico.
Yeah, lime flavored.
Fancy
Twist of
water.
lime, just twist,
Twist.
just a twist. Yeah.
Little
That's
twist.
it.
Put some English on it. Put some English on it. Well, gentlemen, enjoy your drinks. We got a new topic kind of coming up. It is our Orishiri segment. Alec, you missed it last week, but we did some randomizer, and the Nisei Monogataris got picked.
All right.
So we got a couple episodes of Nisei Monogatari we're going to talk about, and then kind of going forward, we'll do one episode move forward after that. But as everyone knows, this is like my favorite show. I ended up taking some notes for the past two episodes, and I was talking to Mark about it a little bit. It's actually kind of insane, all the things that they mentioned, like so far in the past, or like at the beginning of the show, that like have like tons of repercussions, not only in like this season, but like multiple seasons down the line. And it's like interesting to me to see if anyone kind of picked up on some of those things.
I didn't.
Probably not. But it is cool nonetheless, because I haven't rewatched it in a while. And it's just like more times you watch it, it's just like the better the show gets in terms of like the complexity that's there. But before we jump into some of that stuff, overall impressions of we can start with episode 1. Anyone want to jump into that?
I think the thing that like really sticks out to me after like I've only seen like half of Nisei Monogatari, right? The thing that really jumps out to me is just visually the show. I forget how like fun it is like to watch, because there's just always a lot going on, or it's like really simple, like really still images, and it's like very minimalistic. And I love that there's like this really sharp contrast sometimes. Like the show can get really complex with really cool camera movements and a really intense character facial expressions, or it can just be super simple and it's like street signs that are displaying what's going on. Yeah, after that first episode is really cool. Plus, it's like seeing characters interact in the same way that they did in the first season, like Hachikuji. It's yeah, I forget that the show's like it's pretty fun. So
Yeah, I think I don't know if Alec maybe picked up on this, but for me, I think this season for sure, it's in a similar style to the first season, but I feel like this, like even just so far in the first 2 episodes, it's a lot less like kind of droll and just like words, and there's a lot more like kind of fun being put into like the dialogues. Like you mentioned the visual style of everything and how there's always like the symbolic imagery and then all that stuff going on, but I feel like even just in the conversations they're having, it's a lot more lively and less like boring per se than the first season is for sure.
I agree with that. I was less bored by this season, or these 2 episodes of this season at least, than I was in a good portion of the last one.
This season and all the seasons afterwards is really cool because most of the main characters have been introduced, and so you have the basis of who they are. And part of the theme, throughout the show is growing up, and so you get to see the progression of all these characters. But now that you know them, you can actually kind of get into some of their deeper problems, because you kind of scratch the surface of it a little bit, but you kind of get to know the characters on a more personal level kind of going forward now. And so the interactions that they have are they don't need as much exposition to like explain like Hachikuji's background, like in the second episode or like in the first and kind of second episode. You don't really need the exposition there. You kind of know she's like this tragic character who's kind of lost and wandering around the afterlife. And so instead we get to focus on like the wordplay between the two of them. Also, like one of the first notes that I wrote down is it's like actually hilarious because in the first episode, so Araragi's talking about growing up when he's talking with his sister, and then immediately he leaves the house, and what does he do? He gropes Hachikuji. So it's like all these like contrasting like thoughts and stuff that we get to concentrate more on, as opposed to just like, this is the character, this is her name, this is her backstory.
Here's her problem. Here's how they fixed it, type of thing.
You get a little bit more, which is exciting.
I think even in terms of the actual tone of the dialogue, like just that first scene between Senjugahara and Araragi, like it's completely different to me, in my opinion, compared to the first season whenever they interacted together. Like it feels like they're playing off of each other. Like this might just be like the actual Seiyu being more comfortable with their roles. But for me, just watching it, like it's only the second time I've seen it, these episodes, but like it just felt different. Like from the first season.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. It seems like in the first season, you notice there's like this, tension. There's like sexual tension, and like their relationship is just this kind of like weird complexity. But definitely in that first scene, there's like a new layer to it that makes it seem like there's a whole nother layer of tension that it's just like, all right, what the hell is going on? But they're playing off of each other so well that it kind of just leaves you with this like nervous smile laugh, I kind of think. I don't know, at least that's how I felt, because it's like, oh, this is like kind of funny, but it's also like
kind of like an uncomfortable scene, right?
It is,
like it's like super brutal, like super domineering, and like you kind of like jump from one scene dramatically to the other too. Which is, I don't know if that's something that you guys picked up on. If you've seen it before, you kind of know what's happening. But it's like super uncomfortable because it's like you get like this awkwardness, and then you get like this total like domineering power, and that's like who her character develops to be. But you kind of figure out later like why she's like that. It's super super interesting. But the directing of this show is like kind of what makes it for me, and it's like those like types of decisions that make the show so good, because it's like you get like tidbits of pieces and not everything's in the right order, and it kind of makes you kind of connect the dots and figure out kind of what's going on, which is very cool. Some of the things that I noticed kind of just going through and just like scribbling notes, the first arc is concentrating on Karen, and it's called Karen B. Bees are mentioned multiple times in the interaction between Araragi and Senjugahara. So that's interesting. Talking about like the venom and the poison. It's like, and you kind of start thinking about, it's like, is his sister poisoning her? Is it him? Is that like who he's being protected from? So there's kind of some wordplay there that's really good. Other things we talked about growing up, between Araragi talking with Ski, and then going immediately contradicting that when he meets up with Hachikuji. And kind of at least the reason that I'm thinking about it, Hachikuji can't grow up, and Araragi feels sorry for her, and so he's like always kind of playing down to that level. And then that kind of brings up the whole theme of people asking for help. That's like another central kind of theme in this, and we kind of indirectly get that with Hachikuji. Says like, Araragi mentions like, you'll never like go away, right? And she's like, no, but if I was like, maybe something happened to me, would you help me? And that is like so huge for like this stage of like where they're at. So I'd say that I would be thinking about that going forward.
Yeah, I actually really like that scene, because it's like they're not exactly they're not facing each other, but they felt like they needed to have this kind of conversation, despite that they're always kind of just messing around and joking and harassing each other. But they're able to have that like sort of serious conversation that I'm sure has some sort of implications further down.
That's the craziness about that scene. It's like it's all like fun and games. They always mess up each other's names, and they have like this really good back and forth. But there's always like a serious undertone to every time they interact with each other. and we'll kind of get that later too.
Yeah, it's definitely tragic. Like her character itself, it's pretty sad. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems pretty dope to me.
What, not growing up?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want to
getting-
grow up.
getting
Like
used
Peter
to
Pan.
dying.
You-
lost
You,
soul.
you only just died to become a forever
I
wandering
want to be a
snail.
lost boy, just like Peter
Yeah,
Pan.
lost boy.
I just wanted to comment on watching everything a second time. I've been noticing a lot more of the actual Japanese wordplay and like the puns they use, and it's definitely easier in Japanese to create actual full statements and sentences with this wordplay and just like similar, like in English you'd call it a homonym, things that sound the same, but in Japanese it's actually like in how you pronounce like the accents that like changes it. But it's just kind of funny because like an example would be in the first episode when Araragi's about to go meet with Nadeshiko. Basically, he's having a conversation with Skihi, and she's like, "Oh yeah, you're just like an idiot. Like, she's like in love with you." And he's like, "What?" And then she even like uses like the word koi, which is like it, like the actual kanji for love can be read as koi or ai, and it shows like in Araragi's eye, it shows like the kanji for to come. It's like koi is like another way of like being able to say to come. So like he misconstrues it and they show it visually. So like it's kind of funny how like they show all of that stuff. And I think the subtitles did a pretty good job of translating it, but it's just like unless you get the connection there, it's a little harder to see the wordplay and like kind of the, I guess like the denseness that Araragi has like from time to time, like all of these kind of playful uses of words and all that stuff.
I definitely want to mirror the sentiment of like, especially for me, like I definitely don't know as much like Japanese as you do or as most other people do, but being able to see it like the second and third time and knowing the context of what they're talking about, it's easier to kind of notice some of those things. Like even this time, like when they brought up like koi, I was thinking about that too because that totally makes sense. And just like the words that they choose too, like when Senju Gahara is saying like "I love you," she goes like the full like what is it like
Aishitemasu.
Aishimasu or whatever, and then like all the other like loves, it's like koi or ski or something along those lines. So it's like you can kind of see some of the intricacies of the different, not only the wordplay but the words that they choose to speak with each other with.
That's an interesting point because she does say that, and like when you say like Aishitemasu, like that's basically like declaring like full on like romantic love, whereas like Japanese, I guess you could hear an explanation from them and how they say they're a little bit more vague with romance, so they just use ski, which is an adjective for like liking. So it's a little bit less I guess in your face, like saying you love someone. It's more like I like you. Kinda.
It's like when you're a kid and you say I like you.
Yeah. Like, do you like me or do
Yeah.
You
you
like me or like me?
Yeah.
You're
Oh.
in like with me.
Oh man,
And
you're in
the
like with
situation
me.
that she, it's so funny too because like the situation that she says it in, it's like most people, at least how it's portrayed in anime, it's like super shy when you would be saying like that. She's like so confident about it and just like it's like so nonchalant for her to be saying that in the situation that they're in. So it's like it's super interesting. We can jump into episode 2 though. We kind of he ends up at Nadako's house. We also have some interaction with Kanbaru. Less I guess like foreshadowing kind of going on in this episode, but still like a lot to kind of digest. But anyone have any first impressions of episode 2?
That Kambaru scene, man, that was wild. I forgot about that one.
You thought, yeah. I mean, I can agree. It was funny that there was the whole mirror of how Araragi treated Hachikuji, and then he gets treated the same way. I thought that was pretty
Yeah,
funny.
essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it's kind of interesting too because her sexuality is like super important. Not only like in the first season, I think we talked about it a little bit. Her like love of Senjo Gohara, and so it's like she almost feels like, especially in this episode, you see it more, especially when they're having like the back and forth argument between Araragi and her. They're just saying like, no, like I am like super like perverted and like having to prove that to him. It's because her like actual love is like super like not appropriate, perverted or whatever.
Mhm.
And so she has to make everything else weird to like justify that.
Yeah, she
I
has
think-
like this desire, like sense of desire that Araragi has, like this almost innocent sense of like love and the way that he views relationship. I mean, he obviously like just met with Nadeko and saw nothing wrong with that, which is like a whole nother, thing in itself. And then to be like confronting and talking to Kambaru in that same way, but also kind of flipping like his ideas to be also like perverted, because I mean like he is essentially, he's a teenager, but to for him to kind of play that role with Kambaru, I think shows a different side of Araragi, one that he's like more comfortable with displaying that pubescent male kind of role, and not feeling like he's like weird for it, I guess, as he is with a lot of the other characters in the show.
You're onto something there, and I don't know if I should really be talking about this. I mean, Drew, you can stop me, but
Should
like
headphones?
no.
Headphones.
This is just like my own like introspection of like having seen a lot of it. Is that the different relationships he has with these girls represent a different type of love. So it's like his more playful, aggressive relationship with Kanbaru is more of like a physical, sexual relationship. As compared to like Senju Gohara, she's very controlling and like over obsessed with him, and like that's the kind of like stifling, like passionate love. Like his sister's is more of a filial love, and then with Hachikuji, that's kind of like a more immature, even slightly
Slightly inappropriate, but
very inappropriate towards like the kind of relationship that is, but it is a sort of I guess I don't want to call it innocent. It is a very like juvenile type of love, more based on like.
Well, it's not like a lot of the things they do. It's like sexual, I guess, but it's like he's
like
taking
a kid.
himself down to her level,
Yeah.
and so it's like it's not. It obviously
It's like
weird,
playground
but
bullying.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
No bully.
Yeah, and then we can talk about Tsubasa and how hers is just unrequited love.
Yeah. Well, she has two sides too, and we'll kind of learn about that. But it's like unrequited and then like pure lust.
Yeah.
Kind of to play with each other there. Another couple of my notes. I don't know if you guys caught this or not. It's not like super important. Nadeko mentions her closet. That will come up again.
Skeletons in there.
Some
Got a
interesting
lock on it,
stuff.
like keypad lock. Did he see into it, or did he just like wanted to say something because it looked off? I didn't quite catch that.
He just mentions it.
He just mentions it. And she's
and
like,
for
"Oh,
her
plot."
for her to have like that kind of reaction. So that's important. We mentioned Nisei. It's like fake, or like I don't know if it's like unrequited, but fake. But that gets brought up. The sister's role, and like we're getting introduced to those two characters. It's like they are fakes, and we'll kind of learn about that as we kind of go through their two arcs here. Super important there. Araragi being a hypocrite once again, doing saying don't do a handstand when like maybe a few minutes earlier he was literally like doing a handstand. So it's like going down to Hajikuji's level, raising it up, another level, saying like, I have to be the older brother to these girls. I can't be doing handstands in public. That's interesting. And then I just mentioned Conver's sexuality. Those are kind of like the main focus points of this episode. The other thing to keep in mind too, and it's kind of hard, and it's hard for me to kind of remember this too, is like Kanbaru hates Araragi, and even though they hate each other, or it's like hate and jealousy kind of like wrapped into two, but they can still have that kind of relationship, which is like super interesting. Yeah, Monogatari is sick.
Just to point on
All right.
your what you said earlier, Nisei it does mean fake.
Yeah. Alec, I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed the first two episodes better. The show like really picks up pace now all the way through second season, and that's when it starts getting into like the movies, which can be a little bit longer, but here all the way to the second season finishes like super good. So
This season is my favorite, honestly.
it's probably it's one of the best. You haven't seen some of the newer stuff. The newer stuff is very good, but this is definitely it's better than first season. It has to do a lot to set things up, but first season kind of can drag. Now we start moving through like the good content. So
yeah,
cool. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'll see how it goes. It's better than last season. I'm not gonna lie, I was cooking at the same time, so I was like trying to not burn food, so I'm gonna probably have to go rewatch it. But I'm not picking up nearly half the stuff that you guys are, because I'm just like trying to read everything. So
okay.
Yeah, I'm like reading it.
But you're fluent in Japanese though.
Well, yeah, that's true. But I like
it's
to
just
read.
the sound of the kitchen sounds that is just getting in the way, right?
And I like to read like other people's interpretations, and their translations.
That's fair.
See, what they think, and maybe get a new perspective.
That's good. Yeah. I like that.
Maybe you can get a new understanding of both English and Japanese.
Yeah,
by doing
honestly,
that,
like it might be right, it might be wrong. Who knows?
All right, so we got some beers. Why don't you guys talk about your beers? I don't know, Mark, you can go first.
Yeah, this Allagash River Trip, it's good. I wanted something a little lighter, and this is definitely hitting a nice little spot. Yeah, like I said, it's got a really great smell. It's got some like
nice
clove, a little bit of spice in there. It's nice and light. Yeah, it's very refreshing. I would definitely drink this on a hot day, even though it was cold today. It's still very nice.
Yeah.
But if it was nice and hot, I would definitely enjoy this. Like being outside.
I don't think I've ever had an Allagash beer I don't like. Not gonna lie. I haven't had a ton of them.
It's a
but
pretty
every
valid
time
statement.
I have one.
Yeah.
I'm never like, this isn't a good beer. At the very worst, it's like, this is pretty good.
Remember, you and I chose that brewery as favorite brewery of 2019, right? So
we did indeed. So
of the decade. It wasn't
of the
just
decade.
it
was
of the whole world.
10 to 20. 10 years. 10 years of drinking, and that's my favorite brewery.
There you go.
Wow.
Here first.
Yeah. Rolando, how's that Irish beer?
It's very malty.
Interesting.
And it has a very dry hop taste.
Well, I haven't been drinking for 10 years.
It's funny, like it's very cloudy and hazy, but like it's not a hazy pale ale or anything. It's just got that kind of crisp like malt taste that you get from just a regular pale ale. It's not overly hoppy or anything, but the head is what really impressed me, because it actually did really help disperse the aroma. So that big aroma that the can said it had it's there, but I don't taste it in the beer.
Interesting.
It's just weird. It just tastes like a pale ale, like a little hop, very malt forward. I don't really taste any of the like tropical elements. It's just clean.
Cool.
That head looks amazing still. Like
look at hanging on.
So
look at that there.
Very easy to drink. And it's just a pale ale. I would say, depending on how much this beer is, might gauge how much I would recommend it or not. I don't know how
That's
much
fair.
it is regularly.
Cool. And Alec, you got that porter?
Yeah, it's tasty. It tastes like a porter. No, I'm just kidding. But it well, it does. But
Tasty.
it's
I would
really
hope
good.
it like
Yeah, you would hope it tastes like a porter. You know, it tastes
Yeah.
kind of like a red ale. It's very strange.
It's like, oh wait, it is a red ale.
Oh, it's a robust port red ale.
This is expired, guys. I gotta go.
I gotta go to the bathroom. I don't think I've had this one on the show. I don't know, but it's nutty. It's like toasty. It's got like the coffee notes you kind of expect, but it's really light. It's definitely kind of like a brown ale, like lightness, but like stouty in some of its flavors. Chocolate, nutty, coffee, and the smell is pretty much the same. It's like that typical kind of toasty coffee flavor, or scent.
Yeah.
It's good. Definitely a good pickup. Go buy it, especially on a day like today. It was like 40 all day. Feels good.
Warm you up.
Warms the heart.
It does sound good.
I want
That's
like
the
a
one I
warm
couldn't
hearth.
find. I couldn't find that one. I hope that they bring it down here to LA because I do want to try that one still.
Yeah.
The Bell stuff is becoming more and more available that I've seen, so it would seem it would make its way to you. They're from Michigan, is that right?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah,
One,
Comstock,
in the
Michigan.
area.
it says so
Yes.
on the bottle.
Yeah.
It says on
Way
the
to
bottle.
go! Way to go! My memory.
Yeah, that
I'm
was pretty
usually ass.
That's like one of my favorite breweries, and I was like, I think I don't know.
Maybe.
The glove state.
I
don't
I
know.
get
still
it down the
working.
street. I go
He
to the
gets it from
bathroom
the
all the way
liquor
down the
store,
hall.
so yeah.
I can buy beer all the way down the street.
All right, you crazy kids. Mark, any last thoughts and a rating for your guy? River trip. Let's take a river trip.
The river trip. This is a good one. I think I enjoy the Allagash White a little bit more, but this is still very good nonetheless. I think the white just has a little bit more flavor, like with some like the tropical
It's
notes in
just
that.
so good.
It's a little drier. Yeah.
It's just so good.
But yeah, I do think that this is like super drinkable. I'll give this like a 4. I think it's pretty good.
Just want to note
cool.
that Allagash White is one of the reasons why I like Belgian style ales so much.
Yeah, my cousin just had his first Allagash White like
Oh,
on
you
Friday.
broke his Allagash White.
Nice.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
you need to try this. It's really good. I think you'll like it. He's like, oh man, this is really good. He had another one. I was like, turn to the dark side. of
Come
craft
to
beer."
the dark side of
More like the light
craft
side.
beer. Yeah.
Like, finally, the light side of
The
there you
weedy
go.
side.
The dark side of weedy beer.
Mm-hmm.
I love that one.
Rolando,
Great.
one of your last beers from your Europe trip.
Last beer.
It's the last,
last beer.
the,
The last
very
one.
last one.
The last huzzah.
Uh,
Last thoughts, impressions, rating.
I want to say it's a very easy to drink beer, but there's nothing special about it. So if this beer is cheap, then I would say, solid 3.5. But if this beer costs anything more than you would get from like your standard pale ale from your local brewery or just like whatever it is out there, which it probably will for all U.S. and like Canadian, Australian listeners. Maybe if there's like an actual outlet from Larkins to the rest of like the British Commonwealth, maybe it's easier and cheaper. But in all honesty, it's probably like a 3. Like
Cool.
it's not amazing, but
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Makes sense.
But it tastes okay.
Alec, how about Bell's Porter?
It's very good. I definitely enjoy this beer quite a lot. I wish I had another one. But it's a solid porter. It's light. but it's kind of got that, warm flavors that you want in a porter, especially in winter time. So I think this is probably like a 4, maybe a 4.25. I'm going to give it a 4.25. I really like it. I think it's really good.
Very good. Cool. Well, that'll wrap it up for the beer segment here. Jump into some news. Just jump right into it. Spy X Family or Spy Times Family. I don't know. It's Japan's #1 recommended manga of 2020. Other series include Chainsaw Man. Mark, you've mentioned this a couple times. Dress Up Darling and Pharmacists. Like, it's not.
What the fuck?
Is it?
That was a typo.
Is it like farm and then they have cysts, or is it
Definitely
like
supposed
the
to be farm.
profession?
That was supposed to be something different.
That was supposed to be something different.
That was supposed to be very different.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you are looking for manga recommendations, check those out. Again, Spy X Family, Chainsaw Man, Dress Up Darling, and Pharmacist Monologue.
A wildly different manga too, so there's something for everybody in those recommendations. So
Pharmacist's Monologue.
That's a good like mystery set in like early China, like 1500s, like China dynasty eras. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Interesting.
Cool. Very cool. Next piece of news is something I'm interested in. Studio Orange will be releasing a Making of Beastars book in March. So according to Anime News Network, the book will include character design, 3D models, background art materials, and boards. Sounds super, super interesting.
Yeah.
We all know that we are big fans of Beastars on this program. So I'm kind of looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Especially
I didn't know
we
we were
are
big fans. Wow.
Now you know.
That's
now
great,
you know.
guys. So happy for you.
He hates it.
Mark, you were gonna say something?
Yeah, I think the anime is actually coming to Netflix next month too. So I think that's like perfect timing.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah.
And so our Western audience, if you haven't seen it yet, make sure you watch it, especially if you have Netflix. Highly recommend it.
Let's be honest, they probably have already seen it.
Well, in case you haven't and you're waiting.
In case you were, doing things legal and not sailing the high seas.
So this next piece of news, kind of
I've never
controversial.
been in the
I don't know if
ocean.
it's controversial, but people have been talking about it. Funimation removes interspecies reviewers as it doesn't fall within company standards. I don't know. I think we could like meme about this a lot, but essentially it's like, or what's this say? The company said that they would rather take the series off entirely rather than stream it with segments edited or removed. Wakanim and Anime Lab will continue to stream the show in certain regions. So I know we talked about it. Essentially, it's like hentai. It's like porn.
It's essentially
Yeah, the
hentai.
first episode, I was like, okay, I don't know about this, and then I stopped
Yeah,
watching it.
Somebody posted like a clip, like obviously edited clip on Reddit, and was just like, how are you supposed to watch this? And it's literally just like two characters just having sex. It's like, and then, like half of the screen is just like blurred out. So it's like,
Yeah, I saw something
might as well just-
on Reddit with that, and it was just an image that says, "Please, like, we cannot show this," or something like along the lines of, but please use the audio to like ascertain like what's
going on.
It's like,
Yeah.
what?
It's just
I
a
mean,
boat.
I feel like it's understandable that literally if they're just gonna have to edit like the entire episode, like or the
Yeah.
entire season,
They're just
like, why?
asking their voice actors to voice hentai is essentially what
Yeah.
it.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
So
like,
if
it's still
you-
Moan and
streaming, so
If you were a fan of the show, this would be one to wait for the Blu-ray
The
release.
uncensored Blu-ray. But
I mean, I'm
even
pretty
then,
sure
I
that's out
don't
there
know
somewhere.
if I would recommend that.
Yep. Yep.
Having seen the first episode.
Mark, you put this one, so I want you to introduce it because it's kind of a feel-good story here.
yeah. Before we get into some of the drama, woman is reunited with her dog that was lost for 3 years after its picture was featured on a beer can. This woman saw a beer that was out of Bradenton, Florida, Motorworks Brewing. They featured like a whole list of dogs that were shelter dogs, and this lady saw her dog on one of the beer cans, and so she, reached out to the brewery and was reunited with her dog.
Oh, that's
Like,
awesome.
I feel like it's super awesome. Yeah.
Way to go, beer.
Beer, you
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Beer
Bringing people and their dogs together.
Finding lost children on milk cartons, finding lost dogs on beer cans.
There you go.
Screw telephone poles. Putting your dog's faces on those.
Yeah. What's mobile about a telephone pole? And what's drinkable about it as well?
So
Yeah,
what's
nothing.
crazy is that the brewery is based in Florida, right? But the woman is from Minnesota.
Wow.
So how
she
did
moved
her
from-
dog get over
yeah.
there?
Yeah, that's
A
insane.
long way to go, dog. Way to go.
Fucking
I don't know. Yeah.
was it
Homeward bound, except
Homeward
he was Florida
Bound,
bound.
All right. I'm going to
Winds up in
Florida.
retirement homeward bound.
Yeah. He was like,
Yeah.
"It's too
Winds
damn
up at a
cold
brewery.
here. I'm going to
Yeah.
Florida." And he just and he went on his way.
Heading
Could
over
you
there with
imagine,
old
like-
Felipe Rios.
Could you imagine seeing your dog on a beer can just like
I think that's
kinda
my
looks
dog.
familiar.
That looks like my dog
like my dog.
from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Crazy. Roscoe, you want to be in a beer can? Sleep.
He's like,
And
don't
then
bother
Roscoe
me.
was taken from
Leave me
Mark.
alone.
He's asleep.
Oh no.
And then PETA
Oh,
showed
no.
up.
Yeah.
Oh no.
You threatened your dog to be on a beer can.
So next piece of news, it looks like Cape May Brewing is having a collaboration to make a brewberry beer or a blueberry beer.
Yeah. Brewberry.
Brewberry beer.
Thought this would
Yeah.
interest Alex since it's an imperial stout with coffee and blueberry. But since we liked the that Berliner Weiss from McKellar, the one with the coffee and raspberry, I thought this was like an interesting flavor combination. Hopefully it's
is
good.
interesting. I hope it's
Yeah.
good because I'm always wary of like blueberry because a lot of times people use that fake blueberry flavor and it's just absolutely disgusting. So I hope that they use
Artificial.
like real blueberries and it has like a fruit taste because I think it would be really good. I'm not like a big blueberry fan, but I think mixed with coffee I would like it because it would take the flavors out of it that I don't like.
As
I'd
long
be
as it's not like the
down with it.
watermelon Dorado from Ballast Point.
Ooh.
That's that exact
exactly-
fake flavor that
Yep.
you hate.
Yep, it's not good.
It's true.
I hope
It's not good.
No.
Gosh.
If you ever get a chance to try Alvarado Street, I had to look it up. Biggie's Blueberry Brunch Bonanza. That is an amazing blueberry.
That's
That
a-
is
an
That's,
amazing
amazing.
name,
that's that
too.
name just in general.
Biggie's
Yeah,
Blueberry Brunch
it's-
Bonanza. Say that 5 times fast.
No.
That is
I won't.
incredible.
Impossible.
Incredible beer. It's amazing.
What kind of a beer
Yeah.
is it?
It's a sour.
It's a
It's a sour?
pie-inspired
sour. It
kettle
just makes
sour
sense.
ale.
They
It makes sense for just blueberry to be in sours.
Yeah.
they made like a
Yeah.
double version of it or something that
A
was like a kettle
double.
sour.
This
Double
sounds
kettle
so
sour.
good.
Oof.
Mark,
It
if
looks
you see
crazy.
one, I'll buy it off you next time you see one.
Yeah, go to Alvarado Street's Instagram page and they have a picture of it and it looks ridiculous. Like it just
I'm on
looks
Untappd
insane.
right now. It looks like a
you can see
milkshake.
pictures of it on Untapped. It looks like a milkshake IPA. Yeah,
It's
it's pretty
like-
crazy.
Just pink.
Neat.
I pulled it up on the wrong computer, so I can't show the world.
Oh well. It's gone now.
It's gone forever.
Yeah.
All right. Our next piece, it's not really news. It's more like us going out in the field and reporting stuff out. But a
Reporting
couple of
live
us were
Our
From
news.
4DX.
we're unfortunate enough to see Weathering with You in
Yeah.
4DX. So I think what we should do is explain what 4DX is and then explain what happened. So from my understanding, in a 4DX theater, you go and there are things that happen to kind of like get you immersed into the story more. So like your seat will shake, or there'll be wind, or
Mhm.
there'll be, do they do smell? I don't
They
know.
spray water at you.
Like
Somebody
little,
punches you in
little
the face.
mist.
You know those lights in the movie theater that are normally reserved for when a fire is going on, and it flashes light. Yeah, they flash that every so often to make it look like there's lightning.
Except there was one light.
Except
in
there
the
was
corner
one
there.
light in the corner, and it was
I know.
actually just
Okay.
distracting because it was out of sync with the whole movie. So people were like, "What the fuck is going? What?"
Well, there was a lot of things out of sync with the movie. Rolanda,
I
do you
thought
want
it
to
was-
explain?
I thought I was tripping out. I thought I was seeing stuff for like maybe like a good like 45 minutes when that light was flashing. I was just like,
Yeah,
what?
You're like, am I going blind? And this is a thing that happens? Oh God!
I don't know if this was like an omen to come, but Mark and I were sitting there with our beers, and it was the whole like demonstration for 4DX thing that they do at the theater. So it's like a little roller coaster visual, and like everything's all moving and doing it, and like my beer still had like the majority of it in it, and then
Pretty cool.
about a third of it spilled onto my leg because it started moving without any any
Yeah.
warning, and it's like, oh great, so the seats move. It's a good thing to know.
Right. It's extreme. Like
Yeah.
you're like simulating you're on a roller coaster, and I was just like,
I was
"Oh
holding my
God."
beer like this, and just like just in a way so that every time it moved, like I'm trying to keep the equilibrium of my arm so that it
I had to
doesn't.
pick mine up too. There's like a girl sitting next to me. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, just like, well, that was fun.
And she's over here with her beer, like, oh God.
But yeah, this movie was touted as having the most definitive experience. I believe I read this on Anime News Network, but the most definitive
Yeah.
Weathering with You watching experience was in 4DX. And so Mark and I are like, yeah, let's do it. Let's watch this. And it was absolutely shit terrible. I honestly don't even think it was meant for like it felt like it was the wrong movie's 4DX like programming like set to the movie, because
Yeah.
it was so off. Like there were times where it felt early, times where it felt late. It just didn't make sense.
I was trying to guess that too, because I was like, from the movements that were happening, I was trying to think about like when that would take place later in the film, and that's like all I could think about
Yeah.
was like, oh,
You're
I'm
just
moving
distracted.
this way, and there's wind blowing. Like, when is that gonna happen? Like, how delayed is
Yeah.
it? And then, like nothing would happen.
Nothing would happen.
Like, that was kinda
Oh my
weird.
God.
Or like
it was
a
just
big
really random.
scene like happened, and we're like, man, why didn't that have anything? And then you're sitting inside, they're indoors talking, and then all of a sudden the seat is just and it's just like moving around, and you're like rocking back and forth like this, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, there's like really heartfelt moments, and then seats just start like shifting. Yeah, that was actually really fun. They were like going in a
You're
circle,
like,
and I
oh
was like,
God, it's so crazy inside.
And like they
I was like,
like
"Am I supposed to be on a ship or something?"
I didn't know that
God.
the seats had like little
Yes.
massage things in the back that like can like hit your shoulders, but like there is one moment that just takes you completely out of the movie because it just punches you in the back. It just literally just punches you in the back. You're just like, what the? And
Yeah,
they're
it's
like
like,
having like a heartfelt moment, and it just punches you in the back. You're like, what the fuck is going on?
Like, hey, pay attention.
Cry now. Oh yeah.
I
Your
do
spine is
think
broken.
like it didn't feel consistent whether it was like before or after, because there's a whole like scene where they're on like the scooter, and then the stuff where it seems like they're going down the stairs happened like 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Where it's like
Yeah.
you felt like
And-
this like bounce. Yeah. I
And
did
it was
notice
like,
that too. I was like,
what,
oh, okay, well,
what is this? But then like at other parts you're like, oh, this feels like it should have like that stuff that happened like 3 minutes ago should have happened now. So like it's just really confusing. Like it
A
felt
mess.
wrong. But
it was really bad.
the 4DX like company saw our tweet about how
Twitter
terrible it was,
justice.
and
Twitter
they're
justice,
sending us a couple of passes to
nice.
to see another movie in 4DX,
Give it another shot.
but that they had already apparently found the issue with Weathering with You. So,
Yeah. What's crazy is that this happened like in multiple theaters
theaters.
around the nation, but some people said that it actually it worked fine. So I don't know.
Interesting.
It's
where
whatever
things
the
went wrong.
distribution. Like I have a feeling that possibly what happened was in distribution. Maybe things got married differently. Because there, like you mentioned, Mark, that maybe it was that whole Shinkai interview snippet that they had before the movie started. Like I have a
Yeah.
feeling like it's either the wrong like movie's file, or things like moved around where there was like such a huge like just delay and everything, and like how the master file was
Not in
created.
sync with like where
Like
things are supposed to land.
like I don't think that this 4DX stuff comes with the actual digital master file of the film itself. I think it's like a separate system that handles it, and there could be just a chance that the actual programming that was delivered out to some theaters was just wrong.
Yeah. Because I was like thinking, man, I could be sitting up in that booth right now and doing a better job of what's happening.
Yeah, just like,
Like manually?
manually doing
Shake
it.
seats, blow
Just with,
wind.
like a joystick.
It's like a video game.
Just like 4
I would
buttons.
love
Wind.
Uh,
Spray them
he-
with water.
There were
Move the
people that
seats.
left
Yo,
that
I-
Punch
left
them in the back.
our screening.
Yeah.
Really?
Like
Just
one
got up
dude
and
just
left.
like straight left got up and left the movie, and then I turned to Mark and like, yeah, that guy's had enough.
He got punched
Yep.
in the back one too many times.
It was pretty bad. Everyone, almost everyone that was in that screening, there were maybe like 10 people in there. Like
Was like
over
complaining.
half
Yeah.
of the people complained.
Yeah, there are people like as soon as they left were just like, "What was that? Like,
Yeah.
what happened?" Yeah, it was bad.
That's too bad. Yeah.
It's a good
I
movie.
mean, it's a great,
great movie.
Yeah.
I would have been mad if that was the first time I had seen that movie.
Same.
Also, the sound system was worse at that 4DX theater than when I watched on Discount Tuesday. So
Nice.
I mean,
Discount
you're
Tuesday.
paying all this money for the experience, and you get a worse
The experience is shit.
experience.
Oops.
Well,
Oops.
I
at
don't know. I'm
least
kind of
they're
curious how
making
the
it right.
IMAX is. Maybe the IMAX might be worth it, but yeah, I don't know. If anything, wait for the Blu-ray.
But it's
Sometimes I
so
don't
good
like
in theater
IMAX.
though.
It is good in
is.
theaters, yeah.
Is it still out?
It's
Think-
I think it's just 4DX and IMAX. So if you want to watch it, watch the IMAX one because it's like they're using. Like,
Weren't there
the-
problems
the-
with the IMAX too?
Apparently, at one theater the subtitles broke or something like that.
Subtitles went out, yeah.
But the IMAX one
Jeez.
is supposed to be like using the laser projection technology, so it's supposed to be a clear, like a very crisp, clear image.
Yeah.
I mean, take that with whatever grain of salt you want. It's still
Yeah.
like a $20+ movie ticket.
Yeah.
Whereas my experience watching on Discount Tuesday, a solid like $7, and it was
I
a
like
great
$7
experience.
movies.
So if you can find
You
it,
can even
on
get
Tuesday,
a drink.
yeah, then I would definitely do that.
Cool. Let's move on to our happy hour. Bunch of different shows people are watching. I know me personally watching Pet, Dorohedora, Madoka, Inspector, and 22/7. I think I know a couple people haven't watched the newest episode of Inspector, but just wanted to kind of report on it. I'm gonna keep watching after this week. It wasn't as bad. They
It
kind of
wasn't.
have-
It wasn't just
They-
a worse Monogatari, is what you're saying.
yeah, I mean they have a direction now. At least like there's like a central problem that they're working towards with some like overarching things. So it's like actually like somewhat interesting. It's not just like straight exposition, which is what we all complained about in like the second episode. And it wasn't like a
Second
pain to
episode.
watch it this week. Yeah, the second episode was not good. It wasn't a pain to watch this week, and so I know we said last week or whatever, it's like if it's bad again, probably not. But at least I'm gonna keep watching it. Mark, did you see the most recent one? You gonna
I
keep doing it?
didn't. I think I am on the fence that if I watch this and I'm not very much impressed, I'll probably drop it. We'll see. This will be the defining moment of the show for me.
Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
It's better than two.
Um,
I did see the fourth
Well,
one.
Oh, you did?
Did you?
Yeah, I just didn't see the newest stuff of other things.
Yeah.
What I will continue to watch, and I'm more leaning towards like saying I want to watch, is 22/7. The fourth episode was actually pretty good, and I enjoyed that one.
Got a little heartfelt.
Yeah.
We won't ruin it for you guys with this like heartfelt stuff. And there's some good English. And it's not even, you
That
can't
was-
even call it English. It's just English.
That was good English.
We
man.
talked about it last week about Herbie from. Is he from California?
Yeah, Sally Amaki's from Los Angeles.
Yeah. So she can speak English very well.
Yeah.
So that's kind of refreshing. I know for me, Pet Dorohedoro continued to be good. Madoka continues to be good. I didn't include this on here. My Hero continues to be good. Any additional
Always.
comments from any of the shows that we've mentioned, or anything that anyone else is watching that you find interesting?
Well, I mean, in Madoka, Mommy showed up.
Hey, yeah, dude.
Mommy did show up.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you'd watched it or not, Roland. I couldn't remember which ones you'd watched or not.
Oh, yeah. I saw
Yeah,
that one.
so yeah, we can talk about Monogatari. Yeah, Mommy does show
We're
up, and
talking about
she's like kind of a
Mommy
or-
Guitari.
Mommy
Yeah,
Guitari.
Mommy Guitari.
Mommy
they're
Guitari.
both, they're both shaft shows. Mommy starts with an M. Okay.
That's
But yeah, Mommy shows up. She's kind of a bitch, but that's like kind of how she was in the other show.
She's a protective person.
Yeah,
It's
she
true.
likes to protect her friends.
That's
Gotta
true.
protect.
It's kind of weird because it's like almost the opposite of like what happened to Mommy and her friends in her city is kind of now happening in Kamihama City. It seemed like the parallels are very similar, and a lot of the characters are kind of similar. It's like how I see Mommy is how I see the character in this show with Spears.
Yachiyo.
Yachiyo.
Yeah. I see like parallels between those two characters. Obviously, the parallels between Madoka and Iroha.
The Ara
Several-
Onesans, the little pink-haired wannabe Maho Shoujos.
Yeah. It's pretty spot on,
Um,
actually.
There's a lot of parallels, and obviously there's like a lot of different things going on. I don't know if I like this like weird new aspect they introduced of like becoming like a half witch and then like coming out of it.
That's
Yeah.
That's super weird for me, and also like the oddities, like they're incorporating oddities instead of witches. I think that's kind of weird. But there's still too many questions of like what is actually happening that I'm okay with it for now, but it seems like an extra gimmick just to kind of throw in there. Because you get like you get the magical girls, you get like the masks, and then all of a sudden after like becoming that hybrid, their soul gem is now like replenished, I guess.
It's like
So there's-
yeah, maybe that is true. Like them using up their witch-like powers kind of is in a sense saving them because they
Well, it puts them. Well, like a witch creates a grief seed. Grief seed then replenishes your energy. It puts them like close enough to that where it like replenishes them without having to like kill the witch. So it's like
or having to become a witch as well.
Mhm.
So
yeah,
there might be something onto that because like it seems like there is this weird like irregularity with
Mhm.
Kamihama in general. So maybe like whether it is like we were thinking if it's like the whole city is like a witch labyrinth or it's just like a separate whole thing altogether. Like maybe the whole rumor thing with like being saved if you come to Kamihama, like it has to do with that.
would make sense.
Yeah, I like that theory. I do too. Because that would make sense as to why they're able to come back from turning into these semi witches
witches,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Mhm.
Because I thought that was like, as soon as they started turning, like that was it. They were done. I didn't know there was any sort of turning back for them.
Well, we've always been told the witches are bad, and so just that I kind of thought of it's like, are they actually bad?
Yeah.
And this could be a way of like being a magical girl is like a step in becoming a witch or whatever, but like is the witch truly evil? Or QB says it's evil, so it must be. And this is like how you survive is by killing them.
Yeah, the thing that like, has me questioning just that in general is like what Iroha's wish was and why like her sister is playing like this like really pivotal role, but we know nothing about like
Mhm.
she's the one who's saying, come to Kamihama, like you'll be saved, or your fate will change. That was like that whole segment completely threw me for a loop. Like,
I feel
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like the sister is the oddity, or is an oddity, because it's very similar to the other stories that like we've been told. This like random staircase, the different shrines, and now like the rumor just to even come to the city. It sounds very oddity like, or very like rumor like. How they've kind of been going through that. So I feel like that has something to do with it.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, now I'm thinking about it. She did wish for her sister healed or saved or something.
Yeah, to cure her illness.
Okay. Right.
I think the way I saw it was, so Yachio had her actual friend, that the other magical girl that she wanted to see, but Iroha doesn't actually have memories of her younger sister, so I felt like maybe the default thing for that, I don't know, pseudo witch or actual witch to respond to her was just the actual rumor, because there are no memories to play off of with her, whereas with Yachio there were a lot of memories of their relationship to play off of, but I don't know if that's right or not. But one thing that I did kind of want to add to the speculation was, I don't think we've seen any witch names like appear with the witches that have to do with the rumors, right?
Not recently. I think they were only in that first episode, the first or second episode, but not in the most recent ones.
So it's like
Actually, I was thinking that
it
too.
kind of, I feel like it lends to the whole idea that these aren't real witches. Maybe they're actual magical girls that are turning into witches for a little bit. Like, I don't know, because like they don't have actual full witch names in the whatever Madoka language that they put it. I don't know the actual alphabet, how it translates. There are people that really care about that more, but all of the ones in the original series like had names.
They're named for sure.
Yeah, I
Like
thought about that too.
The
Because
final one, what is it, like the Walpurgis Night or whatever?
Yeah.
That whole thing. And
yeah, did you guys see there was a post-credit scene in this one too, and it goes back to the other girls.
Yeah.
I did not.
Yeah, that was also kind of crazy.
you gotta watch the post of Madoka, because there's you get to listen to Claris, which is dope, and B, you get a ton of stuff for the next episodes.
I
Plus
just
that
haven't
end
watched
title
the
card was
episode,
creepy.
Yeah, it is
do
creepy.
Oh, it's super creepy. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm curious to see where this show goes. I don't think it's as good as the first season, but obviously it's like based on a mobile game. It's not as crazy as that did. It's kind of set in the same world, but it's fun to watch. It's fun to kind of speculate with you guys to see what we think is going to happen. We'll see who gets closest to it. Are there any other shows that we want to talk about that people have seen?
I think we'll talk about Dora Hedoro maybe some more next week, because like there's some stuff that's happening, but I think
It's all
with
just a lot of shit.
yeah, there's just so many like crazy things that happen that it's just super wild. I'm glad that like you guys are enjoying the show, because it is fucking weird, and
I really like it.
yeah, it's so weird, but it's so amazing. Yeah, I'd say we can talk more about it next week, because I think there's going to be some more like plot things that are going to happen. I mean, I know like they had like resurrected people in this episode, or in episode 4, but next week I think we can get more into it.
I'm good with it. Same thing with Pet. It's like so stuff keeps happening. We get more kind of background, but in terms of like anything kind of happening right now, not so much. Kind of setting it up for a little bit later, giving us some more background history behind these different characters, which is cool. This week's episode was really cool if you haven't seen it. So definitely watching for Pet.
Well, Alec, are you still watching Darwin's Game?
Yeah, but I am not caught up.
Oh, so you haven't
But-
seen the latest one?
I haven't seen the latest, no. But I actually really like it, so
It's actually like I've still been watching it. It's been like
to
slightly
watch.
entertaining. Yeah.
yeah, it's like not super serious. You don't have to like sit and really think about anything, so it's kind of you don't quite shut off your brain, but almost.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
Well,
you're
the-
almost there.
well,
This is
You're
really
almost
close.
there.
Yeah, the latest episode was like more entertaining to watch because there's a lot of stuff happening.
Mm.
But yeah, it's not good, but it's not like
But it's not bad.
bad.
Well,
It's not
Yeah.
King's
Here-
Game.
Here's
Game
a
is
show
a
that is
masterpiece.
bad that I don't know how you're still watching, Orlando, is Scientist Lovers or whatever.
Oh yeah.
How can you even like still watch that show? It's just
Yeah.
like
That's
so god awful.
that's one of the turn your brain off.
And just
Like
let it
everything is
play.
just absurd about the whole premise of it. And so like I just kind of just like accept that it's absurd. Like it's
Ugh.
annoying. Like a lot of the conversations are annoying.
Just-
But
Oh, it has
I
no
don't know.
redeeming qualities.
I don't know, like the character art is cute. So that's about the only redeeming quality about it.
Yeah.
I'll give it
I
that.
wanted to like that. I wanted
dropped
to
it.
like that show.
I couldn't.
Like
I couldn't do it.
Motukoi was
See you
so
later.
good, and I was really hoping for something along those lines, but it's really not. Like not at all.
Wodokoi is just way like leagues better than this.
Yeah.
It's completely just
Yeah.
out.
This show,
Yeah.
it was just, it's kind of unbearable.
Yeah,
don't
I
know,
stopped
for me at
watching it.
least,
I've watched a lot of bad shows, and I don't like this one. It's not
This
my
is
cup of
just-
tea of bad show.
This is just the type of bad show that falls within the specific type of genres that I watch, so I'm just watching it anyways.
There you go.
But
That's fair.
speaking
That's
of
fair.
stuff that falls into genres that I watch, I am watching Bang Dream season 3, and that's been really enjoyable.
I thought you were gonna say
man.
Nekopara.
Oh no, that one is just a shut your brain off, shut your eyes off, just like
Turn off
yeah.
the
And accumulate
computer.
the memes.
No, 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 no,
The
no.
memes.
I just needed something on in the background while I was leveling in Final Fantasy 14, and so it's like that's part of the reason why I'm watching Darwin's Game, because that's just like off on the side. But I was watching just Nekopara because there's nothing left, and like I can't put on a show I have to pay attention to, right? So I just put that on, and then like I would turn and look, and it's like, oh, that cat's name is Nuts. Nice. And then like I would
Yeah, that was
turn.
just wanted to just randomly say that. I'm like, what?
The
What are you
cat's name is
doing?
Nuts. And then like they would be like doing shit, and it's like, oh look, they're playing, and then like one of the cats is playing with like a little like cat girl, and then like the other like one of the other like more grown up cat girls like just starts jumping on the shit like a cat, and it's like, oh, that's a very cat like thing. And then like all right.
Jesus.
Okay.
Rolando just absorbs the memes while
Just
he's
absorbing the
doing something else.
memes, yeah.
Gain power.
It's meme synthesis.
All right. No, enough of those cat girls.
Nothing bad.
I
Nothing
think
but-
that kind of wraps us up for today, though. Nice little episode we got going here. We had some fancy water, we had some beers, and we had some shows. So thanks for joining us for that. If you like what you saw, make sure if you're watching live on Twitch, I almost said Twitter. If you're watching live on Twitch, make sure you hit that follow button. Or if you're listening to us and want to watch us live, go to twitch.tv/animeondraft. Drop a follow, get notification when we go live. We're toying with the idea of streaming permanently on Mondays. It seems like more people can kind of make it when we do that. But anytime you don't know our schedule or want to find out, just look to Twitter, kind of have the updates there. You can also join the Discord if someone wants to drop the Discord link in the chat for everybody. Always get notifications when we're going live, and you can also look at the memes or the shows that we're discussing. Check it out
Super Bowl Monday.
there. What else we got? We got our website, animeondraft.com, has links to all of our different socials, different opportunities to listen to the podcast. That's kind of your one-stop shop there. So check that out, animeondraft.com. We got the Twitter @animeondraft. Go ahead and add us if you want to spark up an insightful conversation about memes, about cat girls or memes. Maybe you
I
want to
enjoy
talk
a
about
good conversation
Monogatari.
about memes.
There you go. So hook us check us out at Anime on Draft on Twitter. Our Instagram, Anime on Draft Podcast. Nice photos of beers. different things
Yeah.
on there. So make sure you check that out. Any of your podcast services, search for Anime on Draft, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, just about anywhere where you can find a podcast. And if you end up liking it, drop us that 5-star rating. It really helps us out. Yeah. Last thing, I guess, email contact@animeondraft.com. You can use that or just visit our website, animeondraft.com. Look at that contact page, and all the information is there. It's a
All
mouthful,
of it.
but we gotta get it all out there. I think that's it. Is that it, boys?
That
We
seems like
done?
it.
That seems like
Yeah,
it. Oh
think-
yeah. We haven't released. Was it the episode where I was gone, and then the last one?
134.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to export those, but those will all come up probably later tonight or tomorrow, along with this week's episode.
Cool. So look forward to that. That said, next week do another episode of Nisekoi. Looking forward to that. Talk about
Nisa
our
Monogatari.
Nisekoi. Nisekoi.
Monogatari.
Monogatari.
Mommy Gatari.
I'm having
He's
trouble, so I'm
having
just gonna
trouble.
stop.
There's too many
Magic Moment,
similar
Mommy
names.
Gatari.
God damn it.
Nisekoi.
Join us.
Everything that
Join
Shaft
us.
does, he just
Mommy
can't.
Sekoi.
Ugh. All the names are too similar. They're not original studio.
All right.
Yeah, I'm done. I can't keep talking. I'll keep messing stuff up. So
Cut him.
hey, take us out of here.
Cut him.
Get
We're out.
us
We're out.
Cut him.